So it's time for the season finale of Dexter Original Sin, which I'm glad that they said on Paramount Plus. They specified season finale. Oh yeah, we all did. They specified season finale, not series finale, because I don't want this show to end. I love it. It's just the greatest amount of complete and utter bollocks you can get on TV while still being a genuinely decent program. It's so silly and over the top, but also at the same time, there's something so wonderfully earnest about it. The fact that it's taking this property, Dexter, which veered in quality according to who you speak to, and making prequel about it, which is actually good. I know I spoke to a few people about it, describing the show, and they're like, that can't work, a Dexter prequel, and I'm like, it fucking does. It's so mad that they managed to make this show and pull it off. And invest Dexter with a whole new engine that I don't think it's really had for, because this one's very, not cutting edge, but it's got a real Scarface sort of aesthetic to it, where it's set in the 90s and it's quite early 90s, and I know Scarface was the 80s, but it's sort of a bit of crossover there. I mean, you've got Chainsaws, for example. It's definitely a Scarface illusion. In fact, it's set in Miami, and there's a unique aesthetic to it. But it's just I really, really enjoyed season one. I can't stress enough how much I enjoyed it. And I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Because I thought, I'm not really into procedural stuff per se. If I said the opposite on an earlier... Okay, yeah. Said opposite on an earlier review, whatever, it doesn't matter. But no, I just think it's a really good show. And thought this finale stuck landing nicely. There are a few parts, I know I keep hanging on about this every week, haranguing about it. There are a few things which do get a bit weird because the show wants tension, but there's no tension because we know where it goes in future seasons. But at the same time, there's something cool about, you get scenes like Brian, Moshe and Harry, and you'll be like, oh shit, like, I know where this is going, like where they wind up in future, but it's still tense and interesting. And at Severance, it's all like, okay, we know where it winds up, but how does this particular scene end? Because like that it can't go in direction A, it can't go in direction B, but has to go towards a certain landmark. So that's cool. And I think the fact that they even explored the character of Brian at all was interesting. I mean, it's cool to give someone a bit of depth and a bit of characterization. Like, we can sympathize to an extent, okay. We can sympathize to an extent, but it's still like, dude, you fucking chopped a woman up with a chainsaw. You don't get to play the victim card here. But at the same time, like, his backstory is really messed up. And I like the fact that the show is not trying to paint Harry as a hero per se. He's just like, he's done something right by Dexter, but at the same time, he's also sent down an awful path because it's like, have you tried not turning him into a serial killer? But on plus side, we're finally done with McBloody. He's dead. He's completely and utterly dead. He's not coming back. And I think the fact that they revealed his son was able to survive and reveal that he was killer, that's an interesting wrinkle because no one at police force is going to work too hard to try and find him. They'll probably assume that he's dead. Harry knows he's dead and Dex knows he's dead, but that's neither here nor there. But no, that's not to say that's the most important part of this episode, because it's not, because there's two important parts of this episode. First part, Deb and Sophia make up, yay! Oh, beautiful friendship. And also, Deb wants to be a cop, yay! Because it has to go in that direction. I mean, that would be an interesting thing to do. If they come back for season 2, like, are they going to spend 4 years with her police academy, or are they going to jump forward the 4 years and she's already a cop, and she's sort of like the new rookie at the station? I mean, it could go either way, or they might not even make season 2. I genuinely don't know. I have to be keeping up with it. I hope they do, because I like this show. I really want to watch more of these characters. And yes, I know you can watch a lot more of these characters in Dexter, and the Dexter, like, New Blood, and the Dexter show coming out this year, the sequel, and the Trinity Killers game show apparently, which is a bit odd, but fine, sure. Like, I mean, if they want to do Dexter, Paramount wants to do Dexter Universe, that's fine. Unless it's anything other than that fucking Star Trek Section 31 shit. What a load of crap that was. Bloody awful. Absolutely terrible. But that's neither here nor there. And now on to Severance, which I really love this show, and I do, and I like this episode a lot, but it had some cool stuff, it really did, but I think my fundamental problem is I don't feel like this connects as well to last week as they thought it would, and the problem I have with it is the way the characters act, particularly Dylan, is like they weren't privy to what happened at the end of last episode, but they were there. It's like they knew something happened to Irving, but they didn't know what. But they literally saw and heard that he was dismissed permanently. But in this episode, they don't know. They're like, where is he? What's going on? And it's like, you were there. Did your minds get wiped? I mean, that is the nature of such programs. When you get to a certain point, they do run into the problem of the mythology gets so all-consuming that sometimes they need to do a bit of a reset stuff in the next episode. But that was particularly egregious because in something like Dexter's original thing, it's like no one is concentrating watching this show. So if you change things up, it's like it's weird, but it's okay, fine, they go with it. But Severance, like, this is generally great TV, and we expect it to be a bit cleaner. But that's a mild critique, but it's slightly annoying me because previously everything's so perfect. And I feel like, especially if you're going to show like a previously on package, and then the episode's going to slightly contravene that. It's the equivalent of back in day Battlestar Galactica would delete scenes, but then put them in previously packaged just because they'd realised that they were actually important after all. And it was sort of like, wait, this scene never happened, but it did happen, and it's kind of a similar thing where it's like you could have just planned ahead better. Like if you wanted them to question what's going on, don't have that specific ending. But apart from that, I did enjoy the episode. I thought the stuff with Chris Walken and John Turturro is fantastic because they are both great actors and there's a great dynamic between them. And also see a slightly different dynamic where clearly there's some semblance of the attraction between characters there, but they're innies where we want to attract each other, not the outies. And when Chris Walken's character is sort of like, oh, I have a husband, firstly, it addresses a thing that people were saying about where like they're wondering whether they were going to do he's one thing on the outside and then another thing on the inside, but they're not going to go that angle, I guess. But I mean, at the same time, it's kind of intriguing because you're basically seeing two dynamics between them, and they're completely different, and the acting styles are very much different, which is great because I think Chris Walken's fantastic, but there are a lot of directors and writers over years who've basically said, we want Chris Walken performance, and so like he's an actor, I'm sure he wants to do more than this, I'm sure they like the money, but they also want to be given a bit more to do. Speaking of more to do, Adam Scott's really good in this episode because this is our third generation of Mark, because you have the outie, the innie, and this one is kind of combining elements of both, which is very, very cool. I do think the guy who plays Moochick is probably standout this week because that character, man, he's a really good actor. And the tenseness of his scene with Mark at the end, where basically the shoe's off now. Mark and co know that Lumen is manipulating them because obviously of Helena from last week and reveal. But at the same time, they're still stuck there because they only exist there. They don't exist outside of this. They have to deal with this environment. They have to try and work within it, even though they know and Lumen knows that they know and Lumen knows they know that they know, I guess. But it's quite an interesting dynamic going on. And I also really like Dylan's stuff because Dylan's he's played by possibly the best actor on the show in terms of this series. I know John Turturro and Chris Walken have done other great things outside of him, Patricia Arquette too, but in terms of this particular series, I think he's doing a really good job. He's someone who is like, oh, cool, I got a role this good. Well, I'm going to work it to my advantage. So he's great. And I like the way this series is going, sort of. I don't really know what Cold Harbour is, but I hope it pays off nicely. And I really, really, really want to see the dynamic between Mark and Miss Casey, because obviously we've seen them interact, but that was before Mark knew that was his wife. So, and also, how's she come back? Like, what's going on for them? What's going on with Miss Wang? Because that's very, very strange too. And I also have a particular desire to see the incredibly racist team at Lumen get what's coming to them, because they are extremely racist. And I think it'll be nice in fiction if we can see a completely awful run business team full of people who are problematic at best get taken down. It's a bit like I enjoyed Captain America Brave New World yesterday, because you can see a president who's out of control get taken down in a Marvel movie, because that doesn't seem to really be happening in real life. There's no checks and balances for someone who is, not fit for that office. But that's neither here nor there. Severance was very good this week. Few mind quibbles, but I'm looking forward to next week. And we're back. One of my favourite shows of all time, Yellowjackets. The Campbellistic concoction of Campbellistic chicanery. I'm going to stop the alliteration. It's a great show. Came out of nowhere. Basically about starring Christine Ritchie, Juliette Lewis, Melanie Linsky, other actors I can't remember off the top of my head, but just so Thatcher's and really great cast. Really surprising premise where it dealt with the soccer team who were crashed on an island or somewhere. I don't know actually where it is. I don't think they know. And then shit went bad and eventually they became cannibals. And it was kind of like Lost, but on an acid trip level. And I remember season 1, season 2 I loved. Really, really enjoyed. And then because of fucking writer's strike and pandemic and shit, it was delayed for ages, and now season 3 is here. Yay! Been waiting years for this. And I watched the first episode. Haven't watched the second episode yet, but we'll watch it later of this view. Watched the first episode and I was like, it started okay. It was just okay to start with. It's basically dealing with the aftermath of season 2, and if you've seen season 1, season 2, it gets so insane that I think they were probably glad that they could do a tiny bit of a reset. Obviously they're not retconning stuff out, the coach is still after them, they burnt down their shack, but the opening scenes definitely feel like, I don't know if you like me, I think the opening bit almost seemed like a dream sequence or a flashback to when they were going on a soccer expedition or something like that. If it comes distant from what's actually happening, where at the end of season 2, they're in a really fucking bad place, and they are literally cannibals at that point. And then season 3 is like, hey, we found some food and things like that. But I think that's kind of intentional, because I think they really are trying to go for the vibe of there is something supernatural to this now, because they should all, there is no way that there'd be easily accessible food. They say, oh, it's spring, so things are better, but they look clean. They look like they're in better shape than they were at the end of last season. And somehow the coach is also still alive. I mean, I think they said it's been a week or something like that. Or maybe it's a bit longer, I can't remember. But it just feels weird. And it feels at times like it's a bit detached from where they were. But at the same time, as the episode goes on, you realise things aren't really that much better for them. The coach is laying traps for them, and he's clearly gone insane. But he also finds a bunker full of equipment and supplies, which is like, are we going to go full military expedition? Like the military's in the area? I mean, maybe. I would say the show has lost something with Juliette Lewis not being in anymore. I know Sophie Thatcher's fantastic. She's great in past sections, but Nat lives such driving force in the present that losing her, and Lottie's obviously not in it. She's gone to a insane asylum. So they're out. Misty's obviously still being Misty as ever. Elijah Wood's still there, thank God. Although we don't really find out in first episode who he is or what's going on with him, which is weird because that was kind of something we were intrigued by in season 2. It definitely feels like a soft reset. I mean, it's embracing continuity, but the vibe of the show has changed slightly because it got really dark and weird in season 2. I think the writer's strike meant they went back to the chalkboard and thought, did we go too weird with it? I mean, I know it's a bit of a backlash for season 2, but I really, really enjoyed it. Anyway, back to what happens in this episode. So Tyser and Van in present day. Tyser obviously is like, I want to see my kid, and her partner's like, no. And Van is still dying of cancer, but they go to a restaurant and they dash out because they don't want to pay. They want to be rebels. And then the waiter chases them, which is kind of weird because, you have more customers in that place. And they just sat down and had one bit of food. Come on. Anyway, he chases them. He has a heart attack, and he may or may not die. And Tyso's seeing Natalie everywhere, and so is Misty, younger Natalie, because I guess Juliette Lewis was like, I'm not coming back for one episode, yeah. Misty kind of has a breakdown too, where she's getting really angry and bar and threatens to set some people on fire, which is the most Natalie Juliette Lewis thing I can think of. And then she passes out, and Walt picks her up, and he's sort of like, oh, he's still manipulating her clearly. Shauna's daughter is tormented by the popular kids at school, and so she throws animal guts on their food, and her and Shauna watch it, and they have a good laugh. Well, Jeff basically sums up how weird the show's getting, and it's sort of like, no, this is normal. And so like, it's not Jeff, but also like, shut up and know your place, because you're lucky to be on the show. You're not a very good character. And yeah, I mean, so, and in past, Shauna and Maury get into an argument. I can't even remember who Maury is. And then Maury goes into the woods and falls into a trap, and the coach left, and he laughs. And it's all like, oh shit, what's he going to do? Is he going to eat her? Because, he's had protein bars. He's probably got a bit of a high on natural sugars or whatever. So yeah, that's the first episode. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as like season 2 for me. So I'd probably go for a 3. A little disappointing. I think seeing like Dexter New Origin, New Blood, whatever it's called, original thing, is like, that's obviously taking an insane part of TV. And then Severance has taken a good part of TV, and this is a bit like, it's good, and at the end it gets very, very good with like, oh, where they're going to go from there. And I did like having a drug freak out and being like, oh, you'll hear the weird sounds soon, and then they all hear weird sounds, and it's clearly something's going on. My bet is there's a military expedition, and it's like weird properties. You kind of don't want them to explain it too much, but at the same time, it's like, look, can you just like commit to the bet? So, but yeah, I did enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to episode 2, because I feel like they've done the rebuilding of it. So now hopefully episode 2 will just be rapid pace and lots of weird shit from there. But anyway, I'll be covering that in just a second. In the more words of Krusty Clown on The Simpsons, what the fuck was that? Yes, I've just watched episode 2 of Yellowjackets season 3. And yes, Krusty never actually said that, because I'm pretty sure if he said that in that exact tone voice with those exact words and that exact utterance, The Simpsons probably would have been taken off the air. But that's neither here nor there. This show is weird this year. And by weird, I mean I don't know what's going on. I don't understand. I was hoping this episode raced through and really kickstart everything. But it didn't. Yes, it set things up for the future. But I just don't... in 2 episodes in is kind of a rough thing to say in terms of criticising, like, where's this going? But I don't think it's that unfair at all, actually, because season 1 and 2, for my money, did a really good job of making it feel like the show is working towards something. And maybe it's the writer's strike, I don't know, but this definitely feels like a reset in the strongest possible terms of they were clearly going somewhere, and this season they're like, whoa, Nelly, let's pull back the reins, let's drag this out a bit more, because this doesn't... Okay, so season 1 2, what I really, really like about season 1 2 is it all felt like things were building to them all being together and that confrontation, and it felt like, oh man, this is big stuff. Like Juliette Lewis, her cat died. She's not coming back on the show. Yes, Sophie Thatcher's playing her in the past, but she's not there now. She's gone completely. And it's like, oh, shit, where are you going to go now? Because Callie's... Shauna's daughter, Callie, even sums up in this episode of like, we're all kind of dodgy characters at this point. And it's like, yes, you are. But no one seems to care. I think that's part of the problem when you have a character like Jeff, who's, yes, he's a wishy-washy, not particularly fun to sit around and watch on TV, but he was meant to be the straight-laced normal character. And come think of it, like, He just saw Walter drug a cop, and no one seems to give a shit. They don't seem to be acting like human beings anymore. Like, there's no outrage, just this, yeah, we're this now. And it's like, okay, but where's this going? Where? And yes, the end of the episode does point at a potentially intriguing new avenue that they can go down plot-wise, but I don't know, I think my issue is that I just do not believe that they found fresh food and animals. Because I think the fundamental flaw is, I think this show still doesn't want to commit to there being something supernatural going on, but it's all like, that's pretty out there that they managed to find this stuff, and that Coach is still alive after, 6 weeks? And then, like, he lays the trap and Mary falls in it, and the episode ends with last episode ends with him saying, hello, Bambi. And this week he's like, no, I don't want to hurt you. You got to come for me. And it's like, why is he beating trap? See, there's a disconnect between, like, here, I caught you, and, you need to put your leg back in place. It's all like, he beat the trap to trap them, but then he's, like, doesn't seem like he was expecting her to be in trap. It's like, okay. I think the show doesn't really know what it is at the moment. And maybe it's getting somewhere. Maybe they've done a loss and they're like, no, where we actually have a plan now, like long term. But I think this show definitely, first 2 episodes, is coasting on an excellent cast more than anything, because it just feels like there's a disconnect somewhere, and it's not quite what it should be. And I know lots of people didn't enjoy season 2 because they felt it got too weird and too abstract. But I'm like, Travis taking drugs and communicating with the woods, it's pretty fucking weird and abstract, but it's also kind of like, commit. Is there something supernatural, or is there not? I don't like this game of, we're not sure what's happening and we're not going to commit to it. It's like, no, commit. Is this supernatural or not? Because the whole animals and spring thing is so supernatural, but then he's taking drugs to commune with the forest, and then, like, there's stuff in modern day, and the other side is, I don't think any of these characters are likable. And that's another problem. It's like, they're just not likable people. They're horrible people, and that can be fine. But it doesn't seem like the show wants us to think they're horrible people. It's like, it wants us to relate to them, but they're awful people. They're just awful. I don't know. I'm going to watch it because, like, but I just hope it commits to either. If it wants to be a goofy, oh, gee, where's Ma? Like, show, fine, go for that. If it wants to be a creepy, abstract show, fine, go for that. Don't keep jumping between them. And give us a purpose we're going towards, because right now, I don't know where this is going. And I don't feel like they know where this is going. And that's a bad sign, because I fucking love season 1 and 2. But this, I ain't feeling this. So hopefully it picks up next week or next episode or whatever. And that's it for this week on Friday Night Fright. I got nothing. Okay, anyway, actually that's not true. I saw the Bigfoot Diaries on Found TV. I'll leave you with the thought that is possibly one of the greatest movies of all time, including the immortal line, Bigfoot is a huge cock, which I think we can all agree is Oscar Wilde level wordplay. But other than that, I'm not good. Look, I'm working on outlines and scripts and my job, and I'm working on a slightly warped cut of Bubba Batchin, which is more found footage, because apparently the movie isn't found footage, but I'm working on that, and I got nothing, so I'll see you guys next week. Bye.